Chapter 4 Noble Authority. The Knights and Baron looked warily at each other in the destroyed apartment. Alright, said Shirley. Someone's abducting former criminals. She tapped her chin. But how? We had to get past the door guard in this building, not to mention knock down a door without her hearing and bolting out the back. And also why? Max dealt to examine the smashed table. Nothing was missing from Velglox's apartment. I'm pretty sure I see a Cavalian platinum watch laying on top of his broken table. If it's not robbery, what's the motive? Better question, who cares? Dewey's not here. What else are we doing here? Thought Raindrops. She was hovering in the air across forehouse. Aloud, she just said, Hey, there's nothing else going on up here. Can I get out of here? I just want to make sure Snails is okay. Doesn't matter, Raindrops, said Charlie. She looked back at Max. Any idea why these three in particular? Carolot's full of criminals to choose from. Max shook his head. Haven't been able to think of anything. I mean, they have nothing in common. Feckelson lived in a 2-room garret apartment on the lowest level of town. Otacor, I didn't know him, but judging from his stuff, he probably was acquainted with high society. And this duty, middle class, sincerely, they didn't live near each other or occupy the same social strata. There has to be a connection. Maybe CEO got away with it, drawled Raindrops, flying out to the ceiling. If Shirley doesn't wrap this up in 5 minutes, I'm going back to Snails. He needs me. I'm not going to let him be sad so we can talk about some stupid forger who probably fled some clients after giving them badly made passports. Might want to call your friends at the court, Max. That they should do a better job with the whole enforcing law and order thing. So far, been a pretty bad day for them. Judy got out of the business, said Shirley. So he's not an active criminal that the court needs to pursue. Yeah, but what she didn't go to jail, did she? And judging by his apartment, it certainly seems this Anarcher guy wasn't punished either. Sure, he didn't force for the nobles themselves, but that wouldn't have mattered, said Max. After the gala, when the princess learned that we were all, corrupt bastards, said Raindrops. Max set his eyes for a moment. She ordered the guards and shelbles to scrutinize every servant and employee in the castle staff, from the janitors up to the royal advisors. She wanted to know how many of them had been bribed by nobles. If Arthur wrote a single memo for any of the nobles in Carolot, so he had found out any crimes he committed. He paused. We are trying to clean up the court and city, Dame. Raindrops said nothing. When she looked back at Max, she wasn't seeing him. She saw a memory several months old, but still fresh in her mind. Isn't this great? Chirped Raindrops. We're going camping. You love camping. Snails looked at the meager tent set up in the backyard, then at the house. You don't want to go camping, he said. Of course I do. That's why we're doing it, Mom and Dad. We're going camping because my bugs fell at the house, said Snails, pointing at the structure in question. He sighed and looked down at the ground. I'm sorry. Raindrops' voice caught. As he floated slightly, glazed out in Ponyville. This looked like a catastrophe had struck it. A few houses and buildings were still smoking, and every now and then Raindrops heard a curse or a complaint from elsewhere in the town. It's not your fault, Snails. It's that zebras for cursing the town. But once the exterminator gets the house cleaned up, we'll be able to go back inside. But he can't come for days because he's at the farms making sure the bugs don't eat all the fruit, said Snails. And the town can't pay for more to come to Carolot. Raindrops fell silent. Well, we'll get through it, she hugged her brother. I promise. Snails nodded sadly and bent down to begin eating his dinner of dry grass. You know, I'm sadly more focused on the Raindrops and Snails thing than I am on the whole criminal kidnapping plot. Raindrops focused again on Max but said nothing. Yeah, right. I believe you like care more about ponies like us when you actually show it. Anyways, said Max, I guess it's possible they just covered the tracks well enough that no pony noticed, but then that wouldn't explain how any pony else could have tracked them down and captured them. No. The other 2 ponies turned to look at Charlie, who paled lightly. The magenta mare took a slow breath to force herself to continue. The court might have found them all, but there's one good reason why small-time criminals might not have been able to serve their sentence if they were caught. They could have turned to Princess's counsel. So he took notification about the jailbreak out of her saddlebag. 2 Mafia bosses escaped today. I know Duty have run in with other smugglers before, including DeLucas. Leslie, Underker, and maybe Feckelson too testified against DeLucas. What if they know things like where DeLucas might go to hide out? The Mafia might want to quiet them by any means necessary. And then they could go into hiding, and we wouldn't have any idea where to find them. Max frowned. Plus, if we got them back and they appealed, we wouldn't have access to the witnesses' testimony to rebuke the Mafia bosses. Wow, that's something else. Raindrops turned back to Shirley. You thought the Mafia had Duty before. No, I thought they were chasing her before. She's a tough mare. They sent a few thugs she could evade. Well, apparently they're going all over the city hiding down any opponents. That's a lot of ponies to escape from. Shirley set her eyes. We need to save them. We will. Max nodded. Let's return to the castle at once. I will notify the guards of what's really going on. Captain Armor can have teams sweeping the city in half an hour. Great, said Raindrops. You do that. I need to get back to my brother. What? Max held up a hoof. It would help if you told what you had seen as well, with Duty and also here. The more details we could provide, the better. Oh, I'm confident you could do a fine job on your own, Baron Max. Shirley beamed and walked over to Raindrops. You wouldn't want us getting in the way. It wouldn't be a problem, said Max. It is for us. Raindrops fell back down to her hooves. My brother's been having a bad day, thanks to 2 of his sociopathic classmates. And that's kind of my priority right now. She paused. Unless you want him to keep wondering why his big sister vanished during their fun day out in Carolot. No, but... Max paused and turned to Shirley. What about you? Snails is my student. I want to help you feel better too. Tear Shirley. Max was silent for a moment. When he spoke again, his eyes narrowed slightly. Why do I have the feeling you're planning on investigating on your own? Whatever do you mean? Wouldn't dream of interfering with the government's investigation. Shirley turned toward the door. Come on, Raindrops. We have a little pony to cheer up. Dave Shirley, called Max. These ponies are dangerous. If you just wait, I could get Armor to marshal our trooper guards. They have the best information on where the Mafia ponies might be, and they're strong enough to fight them. Please just wait until I can get the authorities involved. It's the safest option for every pony. Shirley paused, turned back and tilted her head as a deep consideration. Max, one of my friends is among the abducted. She held up a hoof to forestall Max's objection. But I understand. You have a duty to keep the civilians safe, which does include us. And the guards, they could help if we have to go up against mob hitters. We'll wait an hour. Will that be enough time? Not to mention they've already taken down a couple of gods. I don't see why a couple of mob guys would be any challenge. It's like saying, look out, Superman! You have to face down against a couple of street dogs. Armed with knives. I'll make it enough time, said clearly relieved Max. Armor's monitoring the escaped prisoner situation in the castle. I'll report to him and get as many guards as we can spare. We'll meet at the train station in an hour. We'll go forward from there, okay? Shirley looked at Raindrops. Okay, she said. As they exited the building, Raindrops turned to Shirley. I'm guessing you're not actually waiting an hour. Of course not. Shirley shook her head. In the first place, we might not have an hour. Every minute could be their last. In the second place, I don't think Max is going to rustle up a lot of guards. Same reason as before. They're hunting dangerous monsters. Who's going to prioritize finding a missing forger over that? Well, if it was Lloyd Forger. And lastly, even if Max could bring a bunch of guards, she shrugged, they've never helped before. I can't see them being terribly useful now either. They couldn't handle the salamanders, or Thrash, or, well, all the nobles broke the law. I think I'll have better luck with going alone. Then why lie to Max? Let's just say I find it suspicious we found him in Arker's Trash apartment. He's not a guard, he's a noble. And not even some pony like Fisher who patrols the guards sometimes does to show how rough and tough he is. He puts his papers like the rest of them. Why is he personally investigating an abduction? You think he's involved? Asked Raindrops. Shirley smiled. I know. Might be hard to accept the idea that a member of our nobility is a criminal. Raindrops was still laughing 5 minutes later when he came back upon Carrot Top and Snails. Hey, little bro, said Raindrops as she approached. You okay? Snails glumly nodded as he got off Carrot Top's back and climbed down to Raindrops. I'm fine. Shirley gave Snails a pat on the head. Did you have fun with Carrot Top?
I guess.
Carrot Top shrugged. I tried to show Snails some bugs in the area, but Snails knew them already. I guess I wasn't very entertaining. It's alright, Raindrop sighed. What now? There's an ice cream store 3 blocks down and... Shirley shook her head. No time, remember? Time? Asked Carrot Top. I'm pretty sure that the Mafia does its duty and at least 2 other ponies. We need to get them back. Now, I know the hangout the Mafia is probably using at the lowest level of the city. All 3 of us knights would go there on... Whoa! Raindrops looked to her wings so they were folding around her little brother. We are not leaving Snails alone, and we're not taking you to a Mafia hideout either. End of story. Unless Carrot Top is going to watch him again. Shirley shook her head. I'm the only one of us who could sneak in and poke around to see if they're hiding any prisoners. If only one of you comes with me, you might not be enough to distract them all while I look. Our odds are much better if you both come with. Carrot Top looked at Shirley at that, and Shirley continued saying, Plus, we'll have the element of surprise.
That's not an element, interjected Snails. There's only snacks.
Shirley chuckled. A different type of element, Snails. But that was a good connection. She turned to Raindrops. I'm sorry, Raindrops, but it won't be safe if only 2 of us go in there. If I'm caught, it could get messy and... She paused. They could threaten to hurt duty. So instead, I was thinking we could use a daycare for snails. There's plenty in the city.
No! Raindrops shook her head. The Mafia ponies are breaking into homes and dragging ponies out. I'm not letting Snails out of our sight.
They aren't targeting fools.
Don't care! Raindrops shook her head. Not happening.
But then we can't pursue the Mafia.
Then we don't pursue them!
Shirley seemed almost a wilt.
Shirley!
Raindrops moved close enough that her muscles were almost touching.
I want to help you rescue your friend. Honest. But if I had to choose between saving 3 criminals for getting their just desserts, saving my brother's wins. Who's down? I would not put him in danger over this.
For a moment, neither of them spoke. Their Carrot Top raised a huff. I have an idea. It's a secure room at the train station for fools whose parents are on delayed trains or something. It's watched by the transit guards. It's really in a public place, so nobody's gonna be able to abduct anybody. We're knights, so I'm sure they let us use it. Raindrops shook her eyes. She couldn't think of any logical objections, but she didn't want to leave behind her brother. He was her little sibling. He needed her. He'd been failed twice by her already today, and wouldn't fail him a 3rd time. She was getting really frustrated at all of this. I really like this kind of dilemma. Whereas, if this was just somebody, Raindrops being overprotective, I'd just be rolling my eyes here. But Snails is really in an emotional vulnerability here. He is really hurting. And something like that needs to be watched and monitored to make sure he's okay. Right now, it's responsibility as a parental substitute versus being a hero. And I kind of like this. Their lives at stake. They are criminal subjects. I'm a knight. I just killed to get killed. Fine, she said at last. We'll do this fast. Snails, are you okay with staying at the train station for a little bit?
Yes, Snails slumped down. I'm sorry I'm getting in the way.
You aren't. It's the mob ponies and criminals who are getting in our way. Hey, Raindrops knelt to her little brother. Honestly, you're not. You're a wonderful brother. You haven't caused any problems today. Bad ponies have, and I had to deal with it because that's what knights do. But none of it is your fault, okay? You're too good of a pony to ever do kind of bad things the Mafia did that I had to fix. Snail smiled faintly, but advanced quickly.
Thanks,
he managed. Raindrops could tell Snails was still distressed, but she didn't know what to say and didn't have nearly enough time to make Snails feel better. She just sighed and began to trot towards the train station, led by a tense Shirley and trailed by Carrot Top. Okay, she thought. When this is done, I'll track it down to Lucas, Diamond Tiara, and Silver Spoon, and Dewey, and Erica, and Felgus, and all the rest, and I'll personally go and knock some sense to them. She nodded to herself. That'll be about right. Later, as the elements worked their way down to the lowest levels of Carolot, Baron Max found himself working his way through the mountain of paperwork. Max turned over a piece of parchment as a familiar headache was beginning to build. He was struggling through reports for the various precincts in Carolot, detailing the types of cases they had to deal with.
from petty vandalism to theft to missing ponies. Unfortunately for him, Viscount Silver Shackles, a good pony, but one who wholeheartedly believed in the ads of an eyebrow don't flex it, had never bothered to standardize the forms or codes throughout the precincts. The number meant that missing adult pony missing district, for instance, meant cow tipping in the warehouse district. And while the civil police knew the system thanks to years of inertia, Max was having trouble. It was enough to make any rustic, hardy pony like himself want to throw all papers out the window, flee the criminal records department, Caroline Castle, and go haul himself up to Cairhorn just to drive all the legalese out of his brain. But he closed his eyes and took a breath, reminding himself that this mattered. Pony lives were stake, even more so than with a regular government bill. And just because he was handling the paperwork, instead of being out there fighting evil with his own four hosts, didn't make his contribution any less important. Somebody had to go through the records and figure out if any other ponies had been abducted. Might as well be him. His secretary, Miss Grubnar, and his other assistant, Inky, were asleep, and the other nobles who were going to help with this. It was up to him to do the work that might save the missing ponies. The headache faded, and Max allowed himself a small smile. He had to thank Posey later. It was she who had taught him a few mental techniques for dealing with the common frustrations of being a noble of the court. And it was getting easier. When he first arrived, he spent too much time staring uselessly at the bills as to do her homework assignments he didn't want to do. Now he was more productive members of the court, and, as Posey had shown him, Denison was better for it. So he returned to the paperwork and looked through the next precinct report. There were several possible crimes, most of them minor. Littering, graffiti, public display of intoxication, a full selling cups of lemonade in a park not sold for commerce. Max made a mental note to look at that last one when he had a chance. He felt the scenario was perhaps not intended to the application of the zoning laws. But there was also one 1065, which according to the big guide that Max left, meant missing pony in that precinct. So Max looked at the name to the next to the code. Alfredzi Grido. Who shot first? And marked it down, and then hailed the records clerk and asked for all documents relating to that pony. Sure enough, several moments of waiting for the records and then searching through them, he found that A. Grido, who shot first, had been arrested and charged with 20 counts of stealing money from charity funds, only for the cases public and private to be dismissed before trial. Reading through the paperwork, Max found that Grido had apparently approached the charities with an offer. They could drop the charges and he returned half the funds, or continue and spend the entirety of his ill-gotten gains on the legal defenses, so they couldn't recoup a jangle they won. They dropped their charges. Throw's case advanced too, and Max couldn't help but wonder if it was in exchange for testifying against the mob, maybe describing accounting he had done for them. Alternately, maybe the throne couldn't prosecute without supporting charities. In any event, Grido got away with 50% of his ill-gotten gains, and a ban issued by Luna herself preventing him from ever handling finances again. It wasn't a bad deal for that much crime. Max sighed and added the name to his list of possible missing criminals. If I keep doing this, I'm going to start sympathizing with whoever's taking these ponies, he said sardonically. Okay, this precinct. Good morning, Mountie. Max turned, a smile and bitterness coming to his face when he heard the beautiful voice of Fragrant Posey. She floated into the room with a flutter of her wings, her motion so clear, sharp, and steady that they could be produced by none other than a confident ruler at work. When she landed, the little upward swoop she touched down seemed to suggest she hadn't dropped to the ground, but it rested at her command to meet her, like it was too subject to her power. Her clothes, a beautiful and exquisite French dress with beads of reds and oranges that seemed almost to melt into and accentuate her coat, flared slightly then descended, as if bowing in supplication. She was the Duchess of Cloudsdale. She was an extraordinarily powerful mayor, and she'd been teaching Max the arts of politics for quite some time. Max rose to his toes and bowed. Duchess? Fragrant blessed. No need to be so formal, Mountie. But didn't you say that in public, a noble must always maintain decorum? Max asked. So I did. Fragrant laughed a little at that, then approached Max. Granted, this isn't exactly public. I wasn't expecting an audience. I was just coming here to pick up a background check for an applicant for my household staff. I couldn't sleep. I didn't want to wake Notebook, since he stayed up all last day helping me finish my professional budget. Notebook was Posey's secretary and head of personnel. Max knew that he had a close working relationship with the Duchess. What brings you to this wing of the castle, Max? The bear looked down at his papers. Hopefully nothing, he said. But I don't know. Some ponies might have gone missing in the city. According to these reports, there might be as many as 20 so far. And that's just the precincts I already looked through. I'll try to get as much information as I can so that when Captain Armor gets here, I could give him a good report. Frigga raised an eyebrow. That seems more like a task for the guards than a noble of the court, does it not? Max smiled again. He and Posey had discussed often his preference for doing the little who's-on things that needed to be done, rather than the high-level things that were his actual job. He was getting better at prioritizing the latter. He honestly was, but sometimes it seemed like other things called to him a little more loudly. Yes, it normally is, but most of them are busy with escaped prisoners, so no ponies left to do this, and I'm worried that the abducted ponies might be running out of time. Posey frowned. This isn't going to be like that time when you were almost killed by the Sun Cult, is it? I hope not, said Max, but I did save a bunch of ponies. And you almost died. Posey moved towards Max. We have guards for a reason. She was silent for a moment. Please promise that, if at all possible, you'll make use of the guards rather than going to fight criminals by yourself again. I promise, said Max. Trust me, I did like getting kicked in the face. Not eager to repeat that experience. I'll use the guards if I have to, and I'll make sure to get all my committee work done too. Good. Frigga approached and gently pecked the top of his head with her muzzle. I hate to have to stay led late, helping you prepare for a fire for the Transportation Committee again. Max blushed. That happened once, several months ago. Even so, Frigga's eyes shone bright with laughter. When will Captain Armor be joining you? I was supposed to be here 5 minutes ago. Max checked the clock, and I don't have much time to spare. I need to be at the train station in 30 minutes. Hopefully it won't take too long to ask him for help when he gets here. Ask? Frigga raised an eyebrow. You're the noble of the court, and he serves the court. Is ask truly the right word? Then, request? Max frowned. I mean, he has his own area of influence. I can't just order him to do what I want. No, but you can impress upon him the seriousness of the matter by phrasing what you want in a confident manner. After all, this is a very important matter, is it not? Max sighed. Lives might be at stake. Then tell Captain Armor that. Praise is something you need, not something you fancy. If he truly cannot help you, he will say so. He'll bear no ill will. But if he could help you and was not convinced of the importance of your request. I get it. Max took a breath to prepare himself. Sorry, it's just... when I was a Lord Mayor, everybody respected me. But I never felt comfortable just demanding something from others. When I see ponies like the Elements or Captain Armor who protect all our lives, it's hard to order them around. Posey inclined her head. They indeed are renowned ponies. She smiled slightly. But remember, you are a noble of the government. Your job, in part, includes ordering ponies around. Help no pony if you neglect that aspect of your job, and as a result, some task is not completed. I know, it just feels... He trailed off, arrogant. Well, I'm not suggesting you act like Darcy Fisher and demand that you see to your every whim, unless Equestria collapse tomorrow. Posey gave Jack a gentle smile. But you do have authority, and part of your job is exercising it when appropriate. Right. Max took a breath. I understand, Fragrant. Before they continue, Max heard hostess outside. A few moments later, Captain Armor entered the room. You want to see me, Baron? I have a few minutes before I need to meet with Viscount Sackles and Archduke Fixer about the hunt for the escapees. Max opened his mouth, realized that Fragrant Posey was in the room with him, ready to notice if he did anything silly, and immediately began to sweat. No, bad start! Captain, he said, his voice only a little too high. I've become aware of a pattern of missing ponies in the city. I would... He cut himself seeing a sentence before with the word like, and instead, if you're able, I need your help to save these ponies. He gestured at the paper. I determined that... He explained everything to Armor as concisely and calmly as he could. The captain of the city's guard looked at the papers for several moments, then said, I appreciate the effort you put into this, Max, but I have a few questions. Besides on our car, is there any evidence that any of these ponies were taken violently? Uh-oh. No, Max had to say. Was Anarkar's apartment definitely ransacked, or could, for instance, have been disarrayed due to a party? I suppose. Most of these missing pony reports come from a pony missing a single engagement. Is that right? Yes. You don't actually know that the escaped monsters are involved. That's just speculation? No, I can't prove it. Sorry, Armanado lightly. I'd like to help you, Max, but we still haven't gotten all the escapees. There's still 3 out there. The Luca brothers and the Sun cultists. Those 3 all considered extremely dangerous. Mario injured 5 guards when we last caught him, and Martilli took a hospital crew hostage until the Shadow Bolts dragged him out. Right now, every guard I've got is helping the civil police look for him. Until these ponies are caught, I can't in good conscience reassign guards to what might be a few old ponies forgetting to check in with their children, and a playboy not cleaning up after a party. Max opened his mouth to beg for help, then closed it. He knew that was not the noble thing to do, so he said, over 20 ponies are missing. 2 or 3 or even 5 might be a coincidence. But 20? Captain Armor, I need some guards to begin trying to find them. Their lives could be at risk. Armor shut his eyes for a long moment. Finally, he said aloud, I can't spare any active guards for the moment. Literally every pony I have on duty is patrolling the streets or raiding suspected hideouts. But here's what I can do for you. The prison's under lockdown with a fresh set of jailers right now. All the staff are taken away to be questioned after the breakout. Most of them have been cleared and sent home. But with the guards still active today, it'd be another day or so before the paperwork allowing me to put them back on duty is filed. I'm not allowed to use them, but I can request Warren Hagam Hire to make them available to you. You'll probably get a dozen. A dozen was a lot better than Max started with. Thank you, Captain. Of course, Baron. When he was gone, Max turned to Posey, smiling like a fool who had earned the top marks on a test. Posey just laughed. Very well done, Mountie. I could have done better myself. Thank you. Max couldn't stop his grin. He had accomplished something, taking another step towards surmounting the task of becoming the optimal noble. I need to go find the elements at the train station, bring them back to work out a plan with the warrior's guards, and go. Posey grinned as she gestured. Just remember, I'll expect you to tell me about it when it's over. She beamed. I like hearing stories about your heroism. Max laughed, gave her a hug, and ran out the door.